But right now, we're continuing our chat about the Montreal Alouettes, and we're very pleased to now be joined by a member, of course, of the Montreal Gazette writer family. He is the beat writer for the Montreal Alouettes. He also covers boxing as well. You can follow him on twitter.com/Herb Zurkowsky and the number 1, or you can check out, of course, MontrealGazette.com. We are pleased to welcome in Herb Zurkowsky. Hi, Herb.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Thanks for taking some time out. Now, obviously, a very explosive week for the Alouettes. A few releases of veteran players, and then, of course, your story on Ray Lalonde resigning after 1 year. What a difference 2-3 years makes with this team. Would you characterize the time right now for the Alouettes as tumultuous or in turmoil, or how is this team looking from a management point of view and a field point of view going into this coming season?
Well, certainly from a management point of view, most definitely some loose ends. I've never received so many emails as I have within the last several months, just from disgruntled fans, mostly about price increases, things like that. Certainly last season, I know when the year started, they had disrupted giving out the lineup cards, and just a little thing like that meant a lot to the fans, so yeah, tumultuous might be a little strong, but because they are certainly still fairly solid, I would think both on and off the field. But as Paul Harris said to me on Friday, when the president lasts a year, barely more than a year, you can hardly say that it was a successful transition from Larry Smith to Ray Lalonde.
And like you wrote in the Montreal Gazette piece, no president to be named anytime soon. Is that important for the Alouettes for this season? Can they move ahead the way things are now? How does that affect the sponsorship?
Well, look, I would say if you don't have your sponsors in place by now, with the start of training camp a few weeks away, you're in trouble. So I would hope that most of the legwork and groundwork would have been done by now. And if anything, it just seems like they're losing sponsors. So they're certainly, I don't think that you need a president in place for that. The president, in many ways, is the sounding board. He is the voice for the organization off the field, and I really wonder who that's going to be now, because Paul Harris, who's the chairman of the board, he's a lawyer, and he's really not in a position to do that, nor does he want to do it because he's done it before. So I don't know that you're going to need that voice too often once training camp starts, because then you want the focus certainly to be on football. So I really don't know how to answer that. But again, we are in May now, and you would hope that a team has sold the sponsorship and has its season tickets under control. So they won't really miss them that way, because most of the legwork in that is done in the winter.
Hi, Herb. Mo Khan here. I hope all is well with you. Just want to know, short term right now, will they have an interim president in place? And long term, I know it's hard to say who could be the next guy, but who do you think could be that potential president for the Alouettes down the road?
Well, they have to decide, do they want to promote from within, or are they going to look outside the organization? If they're going to promote from within, two of their vice presidents who have been there for a long time are Mark Waitman and Laurie Bennett, names that won't mean anything to the average fan out there, but anyone who follows this team and knows the organization is very familiar with them. And they're both, I think they could both do the job. Mark might be a little young and inexperienced. If they look outside the organization, the same names are going to come up now that came up when Larry left. Eric Lapointe, who has said that he's not ready for it. Claude Delorme, the former Expos guy who was in charge of building that new baseball stadium in Miami. Well, that's been completed now. Pierre Boivin, certainly his name's going to come up. There was a guy, broadcasting executive, Mario Cecchini, who was very, very highly thought of the first time around, and there's probably endless number of candidates out there that we wouldn't even have heard of.
Herb Zurkowsky joining us from the Montreal Gazette. You can follow him on twitter.com/Herb Zurkowsky1. Herb, with the 60,000 fans that were at the Olympic Stadium yesterday, does it kind of make you think that the Alouettes are about to lose some ground to the Impact in terms of sponsorship, fans, interest, all that kind of stuff?
It doesn't make me kind of think. I think they are. Very much so. They have become now. They're in deep danger of being third on the sporting landscape. They will never be number one. Let's face it. That position will always be reserved for the Montreal Canadiens. But yeah, I think very much that they're in danger of being number three. They, of course, would make the argument that if they make a division final, and they've shown this in the past, that they can get 55,000 people to Olympic Stadium. But certainly the Impact do seem to be, with the Canadiens being out quite early this year, and certainly until football starts, the Impact very much seems to be the flavor of the month, the flavor of the week. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens now once the Impact move back to Saputo Stadium. Of course, they'll be doing about 15,000-20,000 then, and it'll be interesting to see what happens once football gets into gear there and they start playing. But you cannot dispute the popularity of of soccer. There's so many kids playing it out there. It's a popular sport, as is football.